Tell anyone listening what you would like about them.
I guarantee you, listener out there, I guarantee that I love your smile. And even if that's not something risky to say, even to someone I've just met, seeing someone with a genuine look of happiness, when you even see it, their wrinkles in the sides of their eyes, I love that. If that smile turns into laughter, even better. But if you're self conscious about your smile for any reason, you feel like your lips aren't beautiful, you're self-conscious about your teeth, whatever, just smile. Life's too short to not grin a little bit more. And I've already said that I love it, and I don't know if my opinion matters to you at all, but it's lovely, and keep it up.
Share an embarrassing moment in your life.
In high school, I had the opportunity to go to a Kings game, a Los Angeles Kings game. Go Kings, go! My boyfriend at the time took me to one of the playoff games, and it was actually the best seats that I had ever had at a game before. My family went to the games, but we always got like the cheap family four ticket pack up in like the nosebleed section. I loved it up there, and I still do. I actually prefer watching the games from a little higher up in the arena, but it was a fun experience, and I knew he spent money on it. We were having a great time. I think the game was tied, or we were trailing by like 1 point. It was a close game, and the play was just intense, and it's like right there, and it's right close to our seats. We were just a few rows up from the glass. I just couldn't handle it. I was just like in the moment, and I said to my boyfriend at the time, "Oh my gosh, this is so nerve wracking. I'm going to have a heart attack." Now, that doesn't seem like an embarrassing moment unless the boyfriend you're sitting next to, his father passed away of a heart attack. I was mortified, immediately mortified. And I don't even know if I ever apologized. I like looked and I was like, I didn't mean, what I meant is this is crazy and I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know what I said after that. The moment that those words came out of my mouth, I was like, oh my God, Sarah, what the heck? I recommend not doing that ever.
When did you last cry in front of another person? When was the last time you cried by yourself?
The same day, about a week ago, I was really upset. I've been getting very frustrated with virtual teaching. I am currently teaching a group of 31 students. At one time, only like 23 of them will be logged in. And then out of that, only like 19 of them are turning in. It's crazy the lack of connection I feel to this group and the inability to support them. As a teacher, it's just the worst feeling. And I get extremely frustrated for different things: technical difficulties, my lesson not going well, the students not understanding the math and doing terribly on the test. I don't remember which of those it was, but I so upset. I was crying. You live in an apartment with another person. You can't cry alone for too long. And eventually you got to cry in front of your boyfriend. He's been very supportive and patient with it. It's really hard because I never was a huge crier before. I have been more of a crier in my adult life. And I'm worried because looking at my mom and my grandma will cry when I give her a card. Not even like the most thoughtful one that I could have given her, but she's like, oh my God, it's beautiful. And I see my mom starting to, oh, look at you guys in this picture. And I'm like, oh no, I'm starting to cry more. I'm headed down that rabbit hole. It might happen in another week. It's frustrating times we're living in, and it weighs us down. And I don't feel bad about admitting when I cry at all. It's very natural. It's just as natural as laughing at a joke, I think. And I feel like sometimes fighting it is even more harmful. Like let that stress out of your body. And I can't control too much of what I do in this virtual teaching. And so I shed tears for the things I can't control.
Create a shared moment with the listeners.
Okay, I had an idea for this. I was going to read a poem. Hello, listeners. For our shared moment, I would like to read you a wonderful poem that I was first introduced to in high school. But it is by the amazing Emily Dickinson. You may have heard it before. It's very popular, I feel. I think that this is a timeless poem, which is why it is so popular. if you really listen to the words and listen to the message that Emily Dickinson is trying to tell to us, then I think you'll understand why this poem has held fast through the years and why it may offer you something right now in these times. Here is Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land, and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. I love it. Hope is something that we always can have, and hope is something that is a one-way transaction. You harness hope, and you are in charge of the level of hope that you have in this moment and in your life. I love the comparison to birds because they truly are tough little creatures. The windiest and the coldest of days, the harshest of nights, I feel like I can still wake up in the morning and hear them chirping outside. So comparing them to a bird is just wonderful. And look it up. I'm sure you could find it online if you need to reread it. I know poems are hard to just listen to one time through to really get the full meaning. Hope is a thing with feathers, according to Emily Dickinson, but hope is a thing that we all need to remember to have, according to Sarah Medley. So even if it's a cute poem or if it's a tattoo on your arm, whatever you need, find your hope. I know we all need it right now.
What, if anything, is too serious to joke about?
I do think that humor and comedy is very important. It shouldn't be too filtered. It should be treated like music. If you don't like the artist, don't listen. Don't buy tickets to the show. You are responsible for the media that you consume, right? But with that being said, I do think that joking and making fun and benefiting from trauma in a person's life, especially if they have not healed from it yet, is no bueno. So that's something that's hard to do when you have an audience full of strangers. But I think that there are times too when people can joke about specific people. That's unfortunate because making a mockery of something negative that has happened in someone's life, like the trauma that I mentioned, is not showing that love and affection that we should when we make decisions about what to do. Let's keep it open. Let's keep it diverse. Let's not filter it so much because there is so many different senses of humor. But let's not take advantage of something that is weighing people down because that doesn't feel good.
So, like, if your boyfriend's father were to die of a heart attack, maybe
DJ, no! Well, I wasn't joking about it.
if you were to die this evening with no opportunity to communicate with anyone, what would you most regret not having told someone? Why haven't you told them yet?
I think what I would regret the most was not trying to sit down and revisit any misunderstandings or arguments that maybe have happened with people, especially family members, because, friends, if you disagree and you can't resolve it, things fizzle out. But your family's always there. See them for holidays, you see them for big celebrations. And there are a few people in my family where when I see them now, it's not as comfortable maybe as it has been in the past. And it's causing a little bit of tension now. And I don't know why we haven't tried to resolve it. Maybe we figured that time would be the best way to heal it. That way we didn't have to upset anyone anymore. Maybe it's our own pride, my own pride, just not being brave enough to say, hey, I'm sorry that this happened. If it was a misunderstanding, or I'm sorry if I did something that you didn't like, right? And being able to admit that. And no one likes to be wrong, right? We all want to get an A+ on the test. So being wrong with the people in your life is a very hard hurdle. And it's something that we should try to do, though. And it's something that maybe I will work on doing. I hope I don't die this evening. But even if I did, now you have this recorded and you could just play this to the world and say, like, hey, I don't know who this applies to, but she's sorry.
Your house catches on fire, containing everything you own. After saving your loved ones, your pets, and you have time to make it back in there safely to save one more item, what would it be and why?
I feel like this is the stereotypical answer, but it would definitely be my photo albums from my childhood. And of course, it's because those can never really be replaced. All of these belongings really don't matter. I have some cool collections of like vintage postcards, and I have cool like old stamps. Wow, I'm such a nerd. But those, like, someone out there on eBay has those. If I really wanted to collect them again, I could. And there are antique stores to be revisited, but I can't go to anybody and revisit that like super cute picture of me and my brother like playing street hockey. I can't go back and revisit like me when I was like riding a horse for the first time. I am a very visual person, as you know, and I think that more so than anything written and documented, I would really miss those visual memories that those photos hold. Even though it's two photo albums, can I count it as one, please? That's not fair. If I was going back in, I would have time to grab both of them. Yeah, I would just like put it in a bag and I'd be like, I grabbed this bag. Okay. Like
All the people in your family, whose death would you find most disturbing? Why?
definitely my littlest brother. So after my parents' divorce, my dad got remarried. So now I have two half brothers. I never introduced them as that, though. That seems like a silly thing to say. They're just my little brothers. And the youngest one, he's about 7, and he is just so young and so full of life, and he's so creative and so playful. And seeing a human at that stage of life just makes you so excited to keep watching them grow up. So to not be allowed to do that would just be heartbreaking. I think that that's true for a lot of people, is when someone that young loses their life so soon, it's, oh wow, what did we miss out on? What were they going to be? What were they going to do? And lots of unanswered questions. I would not be okay at all if any of my family members died.
Share a personal problem and ask anyone listening to give advice. I'm also going to try and give you advice.
So, something that I'm dealing with is trying to be able to forgive people who were formerly Trump supporters and are maybe catching themselves, or even just current Trump supporters. I'm sorry. This is a problem for me as a person, is if you support Trump, no, I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore right now. I need some space. I need some time. I don't need that in my life. So obviously I'm going to need to move past this eventually. I'm going to need to get back to this time in our lives where as adults we had different political views and were able to still not give each other dagger eyes.
My advice should never be taken. Just take
Yeah,
it.
I hardly do. I just smile and nod and then I go, well, that was a waste of my time.
I guess when you see it as forgiving someone is more for you than for them, to hold that animosity towards someone, it weighs on you and has repercussions. It sounds like a cop out, but really, if you're carrying this around and you're angry, you're just going to start gaining weight and losing hair. And I speak from this experience as a guy holding grudges. Another thing is, it's understandable not to excuse everyone. I get having a difference of opinion. You were supporting a call to action to harm other people. Trump uses white supremacist tactics. And those are all call to action. If you have a relationship with somebody, it's okay to say, I don't think we should have a relationship. I don't want to hate you actively. It's just best that we retire the relationship. It's in your best interest to let that go.
I like that. Going back to one of the first points you made, I think that forgiveness is, if not mostly, at least half for us.
I find it harder to forgive people in California than it would be in other areas because their information is very funneled. A majority of the local news networks are owned by one conservative, and they weren't given those resources to be educated on what's going on. It's definitely the system that's copy and pasting this rhetoric. And in certain areas, that system is very prominent and it's the only resource they have. You're more easy to forgive those individuals because that really sucks for them. It's terrible because they're shooting themselves in the foot because of the information they're giving. They're sacrificing a lot of what they can be benefiting from.
It is so unfortunate, and it reminds me of what I said earlier. I just want to like make one little like addendum. I know I mentioned how my greatest achievement was my education, and I was so lucky to be able to go to college, but I don't think that that's for everyone. And I think that in today's day and age, there are so many ways to stay properly informed without having to go through 4, 5, 6 years of a very expensive educational experience. And that's something even as a teacher I get a little bothered by. I feel like, oh, go to college, go to college, go to college. Tell your students to go to college. And I'm like, no, no, they can't afford it and might not want to, or that might not be the best fit for them. Like we need vocational schools too. Like I just want to be clear about that. I know that was something I listed that I value in my life, but it's not for everyone. But also being like, oh, I didn't go to college. I've been in my own hometown forever. That doesn't mean you're allowed to be ignorant. We
Mhm.
live in 2021 now. Like, if you have a phone, if you have a computer, which I'm pretty sure most people do at this point, and if you don't, that's okay. I forgive you. You'll get there. We'll work on it. But mostly everyone, right? They have access to this information. And I think that we just aren't challenging ourselves, maybe on purpose. Maybe some people are like, oh, I'm just going to only turn on this radio station and not going to pretend like there's other wavelengths in the world. I don't know. It's just sad. I think I need to work on continuing what I know is right and what I believe in. And if there are people in my life that I feel like there's some strain because of their political views, maybe just addressing that.
So I guess the best advice I would give is direct your anger more towards the system, because
Yeah,
the people are working with the information they have. Whether they choose that information or not, that's all they have.
I think that's better. I can't get mad at the people who haven't had the resources and the opportunity to educate themselves more. But yes, the people who are limiting the information are the ones that are the problem.
But even us in very liberal California, our education's still limited. I started taking a study of the US Mexico border class. My professor was Mexican. She had brought up when they were talking about the Mexican American War. And she was like, I was clueless on what it was. What are they talking about? I did not know America and Mexico went to war. And she was like, I learned later what they were referring to is what we call the US invasion. I didn't even think about that. Other countries have totally different views on
Mhm.
how we spin history and things like that. Even California, it's very liberal and has a huge population of Mexican immigrants integrated with culture. Yeah, I
Mhm.
never heard that it was referred to as an invasion.
That perspective is huge. And yeah, thanks for reminding me about that. With our virtual learning, we cut some curriculum. We're really focusing on the essential stuff right now just because of the limited time that the students have online. And we get very small snippets of history and with English language arts. We try to kind of wrap it all in one to get more bang for our buck. Whenever I can, I try to be like, what's missing in this picture? Oh, there's no females. I wonder what they were up to. Like, I mostly just get the kids to question, but I can't even challenge what I'm sharing if I forget. There's a lot out there, and I do need to put myself in the shoes of the person who gets one radio station, and I need to get put my shoes on and then cross the border and see what it's like 20 miles. You know what I mean? I need to think about it for a little bit longer.